My name is Derrick Coston, and I am the Axios instructor for the Certified Information Systems Security Professional course for StormWind Studios. And I want to take a few moments just to talk to you about this certification and why it's not only important, but why is it invaluable to not only the industry, but even for yourself, as well as what we do and how we help you get that certification. And when you look at the CISSP certification, many of you all know it's one of the premier top cybersecurity certifications for IT professionals. It's been around for a while, and really the overall goal of being a certified professional, it helps organizations know that they have somebody on their staff who not only has a technical knowledge, but also the managerial knowledge of information security in an organization. So when you actually have that certification, you're looked upon in a way that an organization looked to you that you understand how they can effectively design and engineer and manage their overall security posture, which is very important knowing the threats and vulnerabilities that we're all facing today. Now, what's interesting about this certification is it covers 8 domains that many of you may be familiar with. Years ago, it used to be 10, but it swapped down to 8. And when you're going through this, the course and what ISC² has done, they've gone back and they said, how and why is this? Why do we pick these 8 domains? Why is this so important? And what do we really cover in those 8 domains? Well, ISC², they call it the common body of knowledge. But over the years, many of us have learned cybersecurity and information security as we see it here drawn out here on the exam itself. And you can see it's got, we have the percentage of the exams. So if you have a background in asset security or asset management, that's your specialty. That's where you might be. If you transition down into identity and access management because your position or your what you do in your organization, it changes, then you're in another line. But notice how it's horizontal. But the problem we've all experienced in information security is you cannot run security in this method. You cannot run it in a horizontal method. You got to go vertical. You got to hit every one of these domains because they all tie into each other. And it's very important. Like, for example, when you look at security and risk management, how does that tie into asset management? How does that tie in security architecture and engineering? And where does the identity and access management fit in? Well, that's what we've done is we've actually re-engineered our course to not only align with the ISC²'s common body of knowledge, but also in a way as an industry professional, as the CISSP, not only is going to help you prepare for the exam and pass the exam, but when you get out and you have your certification, it's going to take you to a level that you're going to understand why your policies are going to be important for your asset security, which is going to be important for when they design their systems, which is going to be important for those systems to get designed, how they communicate on the network, which is where when you add your users into the organization, how it ties into that network, and how you must do some type of security testing where your operations is going to overall manage all these infrastructure that you have. And then if you do decide to have software development, both internal or even if you purchase it, how that ties into all this overall picture. So you get a global enterprise architecture of security, which is so very important. A lot of companies, they go out there and they teach it where you're going to learn, security risk management. And that's how we've all been taught of how to do information security courses or training. We've all trained this method. But to be a true security professional, the way ISC² wants you to understand it, is you got to go across the domains vertically. Because that way, when you see the questions on not only the exam, but when you're in real life, you're going to get experiences that it might be related to ID and access management, but you have to have a policy that goes into security operations that was a result of something that came from a security assessment. They all tie into each other. And the questions that ISC² has done using adaptive tests, they adapt to how much and how well you know cybersecurity. So we've taken a different approach that we feel is not only going to help you pass the exam, but it's going to take you to the next level when you get your certification and go out. Because really, ISC², they developed this course and actually the certification to show what your role is. Your true role to an organization is you're no longer the fixer. You're not the IT guy. You're not the system administrator. You're the risk advisor. You're the one that understands all these domains in an area that you can collect all this information and report that information back to senior management. And you can give them the advice based on risk management concepts and frameworks. And we focus on that on that method to help you really prepare for the exam, but also how to prepare you of being a CISSP in the field once you get your certification. We put a lot of time going back and putting a modular approach to this that really helps you better when you walk an exam because it takes that stress off because you understand the environment from a vertical perspective. Because when you really look at how to approach it, we found out that using a modular approach, since all the domains, they overlap each other, by using this modular approach, You can find what you're looking for when you're trying to prepare for the test, but it also shows where the relationships are between them. So used to be when I'm in my classes, I teach where, when we're talking about asset or access or administrative policies the first day, where does that tie in? I'll go back in, talk about CIA in our module 6 and relate it back to what we learned in the first day. If we get into encryption, I'm talking about access controls. I talk about, Kerberos and access controls, and I turn right back in and saying, hey, guess what? This is where it ties into the encryption, because there is no one straight domain where it stands alone. Because really, the CISSP is a CISSP. You got to think a mile wide and an inch deep. You're not going to be that industry guru, but you got to start thinking, how would your CISO be able, when you got your chief information officer or your security officer, how do they need that information? And that's how we put this course together. Because I think once you finish and come through our course, you're not only going to be able to go back and say that you passed the exam, but you're going to be able to go back and say, yes, I understand what it means, what a risk register is, because I know where that applies into it. I know how to make sure my assets are part of that risk register. Because again, you're going to see a risk register. I don't see many CISSPs that never even seen one. Because our goal is to make sure you have all the skills necessary, and we're taking a boot camp. We don't want this course to be a boot camp for you. We want this course to be an in-depth course to help you prepare and pass and excel as a CISSP. So we hope that you see you all out there, because again, we want you to focus on thinking like a manager now, because as a CISSP, you are a manager. You're in that manager role because managers are trusted, because, if you look at this approach from a technical perspective, anybody who's got these technical skills, you may have a hard time passing this test. We're going to make sure that you take it from a managerial standpoint in order to successfully succeed. So if you have any questions, reach out to us and we'll do everything we can to help you prepare and really make that decision of whether you think you want to be a CISSP or even want to take our course to becoming a CISSP certified individual. So we hope to see you in our classes. Any questions, reach out. We look forward to hearing from you.